tell. I can hear you fine. Well, I just hear you fine, but it's a bit grainy, I think. Okay, we'll pray that we get straight on. I'm going to ask the full lesson today. Right, let's just pray. Yeah. Lord, we thank you for every student here, Lord. Lord, we pray, Lord, that as we look at church history, you help us to learn the past, Lord, from the mistakes and the good decisions, Lord. Help us, Lord, not just to follow tradition, to follow the Bible, Lord, and follow the Word of God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Right, like I said this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the handout that you get that's got the blanks on, and hopefully you'll have had a go at that. If not, we'll fill it in as we go along. So we're looking at the one that says the Reformation in Great Britain. Yeah, so you had a handout on the Reformation in Great Britain, and then you had a sheet to fill in. I'm going to try and get you in the habit of doing that. If you haven't, we'll do it now together, but next time try and do the one that I give you in preparation. Because what it does is fill in the gap between one less than the other. If you can appreciate, we're trying to cover all of church history in 10 hours. Isn't straightforward, so things along the gap.
Is this in the handouts that we got today?
Yeah.
No, this is the handout you got last time.
Right, that's how we're getting confused.
The last one.
That's why we're getting confused.
Yeah, it's the last one you've had last time. It would be the handout is called the Reformation in Great Britain, and the sheet we're going to fill is called Reformation in Britain.
It's called what?
You've got gaps on it. I did ask you last time to have a look at it, try to put it in. Yeah.
She's moving away from the mic. It's called what?
We can't make you out, Pastor.
What's this?
Brother. Brother Ken.
You can't make me out.
No, because you jumped away from the mic. You need to keep it the mic.
No, I didn't jump with the mic. I went to close the door while you were looking for your sheets. Yeah, I'm back now.
I'll do it for last.
Okay. Right, so we've got, have you got that sheet in front of you, the Reformation in Great Britain?
Reformation what?
The Reformation in Great Britain?
Great Britain.
We'll just make a start, yeah, otherwise I'm not going to follow the Right, the first question says, what was the fourth major branch of Protestantism to emerge in the 16th century? Any ideas? Arabians and Anglicans, were commonly known as the Church. The first answer is Church of England. Yeah. Fourth major branch of Protestantism to emerge in the 15th century is the Church of England. Their adherents are known as Any can help me out here. I did mention it last time. If not, have a quick scan of your sheet there. Your handout number 7, Reformation with.
Brother Ken, you can't find anything.
I gave you last week. It was the last thing you got in the last one. I know that because students here have got them. They get the same back as you. Anglicans is the answer. Adherents are known as Anglicans in Great Britain. Yeah. In America, they are called. Yeah.
Well, you did just
Episcopalians, yeah.
Have you got them at all? No, I haven't. They're all mixed up.
I've been talking to my students here about trying to get your notes in order. I give you quite a lot. You've got to try and get them in a file. As soon as you get them, put the month on the top, and that will help you enormously, you know. You know, it's an important forerunner of the Reformation. If you just want to stop, and I'll just talk you through it, because otherwise, we're not going to.
It's better just writing them down as you're saying it, isn't it?
Yeah. If you don't know, and Maria's got some answers to say, if you can't get between you, I'll just tell you.
That's
So
all
I
right,
want to
I'll
try and get
text.
a habit of donation, yeah?
If you don't get
So
them,
who's
I'll text
important?
Maria.
Who was an important forerunner of the Reformation in England?
That was the John Watts, wasn't it?
Was that
John
John
Wycliffe,
Knox?
yeah?
John Knox.
John Wycliffe.
John Knox is Scottish, wasn't it?
John Wycliffe.
John Wycliffe, yeah? What 4 things did he oppose? The papacy, yeah, he didn't agree with the papacy. Yeah, Marie's transubstantiation, transubstantiationism, he didn't like that. He also disagreed with penance, and he also disagreed with the sale of indulgence. So he opposed the papacy, transubstantiationism, penance, and sale of indulgence. John Wycliffe and his associates were the first to what? What were the first to do? Translate the complete Bible into English. Right, next one you should be able to tell us without having your notes handy. So that if I can just try and engage in conversation rather than, just look at your notes. Why was Henry VIII an unlikely person to start that breakaway with Rome? Why was Henry VIII an unlikely person to precipitate the start this break with Rome?
An unlikely person.
Yeah.
Yeah, why was he unlikely?
Why was the unlikely?
Was
I
it
don't
not
understand.
because of one of his wives? No.
That wouldn't make him unlikely, that would make him more likely.
Say it again. Say it again.
Is it because he had eight wives?
Well, it
I
would be
can't hear
likely.
anyone. Elizabeth, be honest.
We can't hear you either. He'd be likely to leave Rome because it's not that he didn't believe in the doctrines of the Catholic faith or anything. He wanted his own way and he wanted to divorce.
Yeah, so what you're saying really, it's unlikely because it wasn't really about religion.
No.
No.
People who want to break away now in other organisations, it's because they're really, like you're saying, they're really religious, they really believe in what they want to believe and they don't believe that the group that they're in is right and all that. That wasn't why he wanted to break away. His reasons, like you were saying, are just because he wanted to divorce and he wanted his own way.
Yeah.
I mean, that the other unlikely reason about Henry VIII is that before he broke away with the Roman Catholic Church, he denounced Martin Luther as a heretic, and in return, the Pope had said, given Henry VIII the title Defender of the Faith. So when Martin Luther had, written his thesis, and Henry VIII had heard about it, he denounced Luther, said it was a heretic, and the Pope liked what he said, and gave the title Defender of the Faith. And while later, he breaks away from Rome because he can't get it clear. He probably thought that he was threatening Pope and they'll have his divorce or whatever, and was probably shocked when the Pope didn't grant it, What was his reason? What was his proper reason for separating from the Pope? Basically, he wanted to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon and Marianne Boleyn, and the Pope wouldn't grant the annulment. So basically, that's how the Church of England started. In what year did he formally separate from Rome? 1534, you're right, Marina. Yeah. What was Henry VIII's goal for himself? His aim, what was his goal?
I can't make you out, Brother Ken.
What?
I can't make you out.
His goal, and I'll repeat what he said, don't mind. His goal was consolidation of political and ecclesiastical power for himself. Did you hear that?
No. I'm hearing bits of it off you and then it's going away.
Yeah, it is a bit of a dodgy line, dear. I mean, I'm not
Yeah, it is.
speaking to anyone but you, Elizabeth, really.
I know because my hearing's dodgy now.
So Henry VIII's school was consolidation of political and ecclesiastical power for himself. Yeah, the next question is, as long as Henry VIII ruled, the Church of England did not undergo any what? As long as he was ruler, the Church of England didn't undergo any. This will be better next month when you've actually done the change that I give you.
Theological change.
Theological change, right, Marie? Yeah. So basically, he didn't change any of the theology because he wasn't bothered about the theology. You know, that's not why he settled the Church of England. You know. Right. What were the 42 articles of religion, and what replaced them? Originally, the 42 articles were the doctrines of the Church of England, yeah, and this charted like a Protestant core, and eventually they got replaced by what we now call the 39 articles of religion. So they 42 became 39, and these are the doctrines that the Church of England followed. Right, next question on the speaker I hear here, so like Monty Homer. How did the Congregational Church get in? Oh, sorry, I've missed a sheet there. I'll do go through some of this if I can. Yeah, okay. What order have you got yours in? Bear with me a minute because I've got a different order. Yeah. Right, what was published in 1549 that is still used in one form or another today? Not the Bible. What was published in 1549 that is still used in one form or another today? I'll tell you, it's a book of common prayer.
Book of Common Prayer.
Book of Common Prayer, published in 1549, and people still use it. I find that amazing. Right, here's a one for you. You'll start to get some of these. Why was Bloody Mary called such a name?
Because she got her head chopped off. She got her head chopped off.
Yeah.
Can
But
you
when
hear
your
me?
head chopped off, you haven't got much of a reputation. She gained this reputation before she had her head chopped off.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Well, because she was Catholic and coming to stay to be queen
Yeah, she
in a
did. And
Protestant
it was,
country.
you're right, and because of that, Elizabeth, because she used torture so much and execution against Protestants, she got the nickname Bloody Mary.
All right.
Yeah. So she loved Catholicism that much that she tortured and executed a lot of people, so got that nickname because of that. Right, who firmly established the Church of England as Protestant? Who firmly established the Church of England as Protestant?
Queen Elizabeth
Elizabeth, yeah, Elizabeth the
first.
first, of course, because the second one is still around as history.
Aye.
Okay. Right, what did the 39 articles of religion emphasize? These were, I'll tell you the answer, this was a moderate form of Calvinism, which basically talked about the supreme authority of Scripture. Next question, how did the Anglicans maintain a close tie to their Catholic heritage? How did the Anglicans maintain a close tie to their Catholic heritage? By affirming the value tradition less conflicted directly with Scripture. By affirming the value tradition unless conflicted directly with Scripture. Right, who were the Puritans and why were they called by this name? Who were the Puritans and why were they called by this name?
The Puritans were,
It's on page, it was on page 145 of your handout. I don't expect you to have to read it now, but we'll try and get in the habit of reading what I give you and then pick that up the next time. I'll just tell you that these were people who believed that the Reformation was not going far enough within the Church of England. They thought that the Catholic Church was, was totally against God, in a sense, and they still felt as if the Catholic Church had an influence on the Church of England, because it still had a lot of Catholic elements. There were strict Calvinists. We're going to get into that today. There were strict Calvinists, and they demanded that the Church purified itself in accordance with the New Testament practices and doctrines, and that's why they were called Puritan. Yeah, they basically were quite militant and felt that the break with the Catholic Church wasn't enough, and that it needed to go further, and that the Church needed to get more pure in line with Scripture. What characterised the Puritans and wanted to stress? It was personal faith, repentance, conversion, and there was a strong emphasis on both the inward and outward holiness. So personal faith, repentance, conversion, strong emphasis both on inward and outward holiness. What's your next sheet there? Yeah. Next question here, you can see we've got quite a bit of this covers things I don't teach on the lesson, so I will go over it. How did the Congregational Church get its name? Basically, they advocated the congregational form of church government, where the congregation makes decisions together. I meant it's a bit more detailed than that. That's on your handout, sorry.
where the congregations what? Got together?
Is that in this handout
Yeah.
next week's?
That's on your handout on page 147, and you get a chance to read that for this lesson. That would be.
147.
And it tells you all about these different groups. On page 148, we have the Baptists. What was the central tenet of the early Baptists in England? You know, what was their main belief? They believed that, so this is the Baptists now, they believed that the church is a community of believers who were born by personal voice. The church should only accept those who show evidence of regeneration. So the early Baptists believed that the church is a community of believers who are joined by personal choice. The church should only accept those who show evidence of regeneration. You can get to read your notes a little bit later. I'm just trying to set this up for this. The Baptist practiced baptism was for who? The Baptist practiced baptism for who?
Fastest baptism is who?
If you can find the handout on page 148, it tells you there, third line there.
Is that this week's handout you're talking about, 148?
Well, it's a bit hard for us to tell exactly what sheet of paper that is, but
Well, that's
It's
your
a
John
bit
Calvin
really.
and his Reformed theology.
the one I started off in the Reformation in Great Britain was still on that.
Oh,
Still
no,
kind of becoming.
The Reformation in Great Britain did on board of it.
Is that?
Yeah? Right, is there a problem, Elizabeth? Can you not find it?
I can't hear you right. You're breaking up.
Right, well, if you want, I'll stop the lesson. It's not
No,
fun.
you're all
Okay.
right.
No, it's fine.
I can
just
hear
keep going.
things and then I can't.
Right,
But
okay.
I'll bear it. Don't worry.
Right, so the Baptist practice, if you've got your sheet there, page 148, it's just hard for me as well, you know. Page 148, the Baptist practice baptism was for believers only.
Right, I've got it here, you know,
The
so
believers what? Morning?
Good. But believers only. Baptist practice baptism for believers only. It's on page 148, it says it on the third line down there. Right.
For believers.
Next question I want to ask you.
Only?
Anabaptist.
Page 148 we're on.
Appears that the early Baptist ministers were. What is Anabaptist?
We're not doing that at the minute.
Is that over here? 148?
I don't know whether, I can't see your sheet, I don't know if you're on the right one or not.
The history of Christian doctrine. The
Yeah.
Baptists, 148.
Yeah, Baptist
Yeah.
practice baptism for believers.
The
only.
Baptist, yeah?
Oh, I don't know, I've not got it.
Oh, you know.
Right. Why is the name Baptist a misdemeanor? Why, you know, what's strange about the Baptist, the name that they have? Ladies, I'm going to encourage you all, or I'm going to encourage all the class at the end. I'll make it dead clear what I'd like you to read for next time. So we can have a go at this next time, because this is hard work if you haven't read it. That's why I give you it beforehand, so you can try and read it the month before, you know. Right, the name Baptist is a misdemeanor, you know, it doesn't fit because the Baptists don't actually believe that baptism is necessary for salvation, believe it or not. Yeah, don't believe that baptism is necessary for salvation. What are 5 other important beliefs of the Baptists? The same necessity of based on all doctrine and practice on Scripture alone. It's everything to do, they believe is based on Scripture. They believe, number 2, they believe on the congregational form of church, like the congregational form of church, yeah. Point number 3, they believe in the separation of church and state. Point number 4, they believe in freedom of conscience. Freedom of conscience. All of this is in those notes here. And number 5, a fifth important belief of the Baptists is that they believe in the responsibility of the church to send out missionaries and ordained ministers. So they believe in the responsibility of the church to send out missionaries and ordained ministers. Right, maybe John, a few more questions. What defines what you call a free will Baptist? What defines a free will Baptist? Now a free will Baptist, according to your notes, is those who believe a person will lose his salvation through unbelief and disobedience. So a free will Baptist believes that a person can lose his salvation through unbelief and disobedience. They don't accept unconditional eternal security, the once saved, always saved. They don't accept that. They believe that a person can lose salvation through unbelief and disobedience. Right, what Baptist leader showed doubt concerning Trinitarianism? Have a look at page 149, see if someone can tell us the answer. Which Baptist leader showed doubt concerning Trinitarianism? We're on the same notes, just page 149. Anyone? Page 149?
Sir,
Say again?
I'm sorry because we don't have notes, we don't have handouts.
Yeah, it's a bit hard without the handouts.
Sorry, sir.
Because I'm just going through homework here really at the minute. Right, the Baptist leader who showed doubt concerning Trinitarianism was, Maria, you got that?
John Smith.
John Smith, yeah, John Smith. The worst and famous Baptists who baptized in the name of Jesus, Robert Robinson was one of them. So famous Baptists who baptized in the name of Jesus, Robert Robinson, Daniel Hibben. So there's a few mentioned there. Right, you should know this one, ladies, or you might know this one. Which Baptist preacher wrote a famous book, and what was it called? Which Baptist preacher wrote a famous book? Any idea? I'll tell when you put your heads down. Right,
Billy Graham? No.
the writer was John Bunyan,
John.
and the book. Any idea what the book was that John Bunyan wrote? You might have heard of it, it's called Pilgrim's Progress. Yeah, John Bunyan, Pilgrim's Progress. Yeah, and it was written in 1678, and he wrote it while he was in prison. 1678, and he wrote it while he was in prison. Yeah, the information on this one, in case you think I'm just making it up, is on page 154 of that handout that I gave you.
154. Oh, the
Page
one that you
154.
gave
I
us?
wouldn't want to look for it now, so I've just told you the answers.
The one that you gave us is 154.
Right, I think I'll leave that there. There was a couple of other things there. The other thing in that handout talked about the Quakers, known as the Society of Friends, and it talked a little bit about them and how they were founded by a man called George Fox in 1652. We'll leave that there now, I think, and we'll move on to the day. Right, I'm now going into today's handouts, so I hope you've got them, or we are going to
Right,
be
we've got them.
Got them.
See the
Right,
one you were
but-
talking about first, because I'm getting a bit confused here. See the one you were talking about there was the Reformation of Great Britain?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Right, that's all right. Yeah, I've got that, I just couldn't find it. That's okay, and thank you very much.
Okay. Right, we're now on to today's handout. Big sheet that you've got, number 6 on it, John Calvin and his Reformed theology.
Right, got that.
Right, before we start, John Calvin is known for the idea of basically once saved, always saved, which is what this is all about. I don't want to get too much into it. You could do 10 hours on this just by yourself. It can really start messing with your mind, in my opinion, if you look at it too much, which is why I give you handouts. And I'm not going to read the whole of that handout. You know, the handout's for a reason. Please try and read them. All I can do in a lesson is try and skirt over a few little things. That's why I give you so many things to read, so you've got them for future. Some of them are quite complicated. You know, I've taught this for years, I wouldn't remember it all either.
Okay.
But try and read them if you can, yeah?
Yeah.
So John Calvin, we talked a little bit there about the Anabaptists and that. We talked before, we've mentioned before. I'm just sort of skimming over the handout here. I'm just on the front page of page 113. I'm just pick out a few little things with you. And I'm gonna have a look at another handout that might help us. So there was a man called Svengali in Zurich, Switzerland. Yeah, who started the Reformed branch of Protestantism. He died fairly early in the movement, But then another man came up who was really, we know his name, John Calvin, born in Noyon in France in 1509. He emigrated to Geneva, Switzerland, became leader of the Protestants, and like head of the government in a sense, He did a lot of writing on the theology and commentaries, and this made him a big leader of the Reformed movement in his whole. He'd been brought up as a Roman Catholic. He converted to Protestantism in 1532, but he was really influenced by I'm not getting into all of that. What I want to get into is this. On page 115, I've highlighted some things for you, just so we can pick them out and try and get our head around it. If your head gets a bit mushed by all of this, then, don't worry, because I get the same thing. Yeah, sometimes man after gets hold of a doctrine, twisted somewhat and perverted, that sometimes it's that complicated you can't often get your head around it. But say what you think. So, the existence and nature of God. Calvin stated that through nature and conscience, everyone can know there is a God. Would you agree with that? Through nature and conscience, everyone can know there is a God.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, you agree?
Yeah,
The existence of God is evident, even to those who don't have the Bible. Would you agree with that?
yes.
Yeah? Since all humans are sinners, however, we can't truly know God in his essence and purity, and since we are finite, we can't truly comprehend his infinite. The only way we can know God personally is through his self-revelation. What do you think about that?
Through his self-revelation.
So all humans are sinners,
No.
however.
This is what it believes, God's revelation, he says. So it's the next bit down, yeah? God's revelation consists in accommodating himself to the limitations of the human mind. Yeah, we find in Scripture many descriptions of God that do not exhaust his fullness. They are partial revelations because of the limits of our vocabulary and thinking. For example, the Bible speaks of God's ears, eyes, hands, and arms. We are not to think of him as a giant human being. Rather, God uses these analogies to express himself on our level of thinking and in terms we can understand. Even when God reveals himself to us, we can't fully know him because of our sinful and finiteness. Getting a little tricky, isn't it? Just a touch. What he's basically saying is God, the only way that we really get to know God is if God reveals himself to us, but even when he reveals himself to us, it's only limited by our mind. So it's not the full God, it's only the bit that we can understand. Not too bad at the minute, is it? But it's getting a little bit weird, isn't it? You agree?
Aye.
Yeah, getting a bit technical for my liking, really. I'm reading on down on the green highlighted bits. I'm down at the bottom of page 115. Calvin condemned all forms of idolatry. He specifically rejected the Catholic use of statues as idolatrous. But he did teach that God is a Trinity. Yeah? Although early on he did have some doubts about it. Right, what I'm going to do is switch a little bit to the other handout I've given you, entitled Eternal Security. This is a better handout for us to understand. The other one I'd like to try and read in your own time, to try and get your head around it a little bit. Skim through that. It's quite heavy. That bit that I read